When I think about the prayers that Jesus offered, two passages come to mind, Mark 1:35 and Luke 6 and verse 12. The reason is that these passages are full of practical principles about prayer. I want you to notice these two passages with me as we consider our lesson for today. Mark 1 and verse 35 says, "Now in the morning, having risen a long while before daylight, he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed." And then Luke 6 and verse 12 says, "Now it came to pass in those days, that he went out to the mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to God." The prayers of Jesus set a wonderful example for us to imitate. They give us the opportunity to examine our own prayer life to see how it measures up. One's spiritual life and maturity is measured by his or her prayer life. Prayer is, so to speak, the dipstick to measure the level of our spirituality. When you pull the dipstick out of the engine of your car to check the oil, you'll see one of two things. The oil level will either be on the full mark or it will be below it. Seldom will you find that you have too much oil. Well, the same is true as we examine our praying. We may find that we are as spiritual and prayerful as we ought to be, but it's also very possible that we will find that we are lacking in prayer due to a lack of spirituality. And I doubt that anyone will find that he is overflowing to the point that you need to back up a little bit on your prayer life. But now, let's look at our own prayers in view of the prayers of Jesus. First, we see that Mark tells us that Jesus went to a solitary place to pray. Luke tells us that the place that he went to was to the mountain. Both of these texts suggest a quiet place that was free from distractions, a place where he could concentrate on the words being spoken to God. Jesus well understood that prayer must be from the heart and not just a recital of words or phrases. And while in a context of showing a contrast between an outward display of prayer and prayer offered in sincerity, Matthew 6:6 may also give us some insight on praying in a place that is conducive to prayer. Jesus said, "But you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to the Father who is in the secret place." Prayer was important enough to Jesus to go to a place to pray. It wasn't that he just happened to be in a solitary place or in the mountains when he decided to pray. He went there for that express purpose. Now, we probably wouldn't do what a few religious people today do by going to a chapel or going to a church building every time that we feel like that we need to pray. We well understand that prayer can be offered anywhere at any time. However, maybe our friends have learned something that we can use, that being the value of a place that allows us to pray without distraction. But in a busy, noisy, crowded place, it's easy to allow our minds to wander or for us to rush through our prayers. If we're there with the TV blaring, the phone ringing, the doorbell chiming, the children playing, thinking about prayer is something that's very difficult. So we need to ask ourselves the question, where do we pray? Is it the kind of place where Jesus would have prayed? Is it one that is helpful to your prayer life? We need to find a place that is solitary and that is conducive to prayer. For one, it may be in a bedroom at night or in the early morning hours. For another, it may be while they are in the shower. For another, it may be that they have an office or they have a special room in their house that they set aside as a prayer location, a prayer room. But wherever it is, we need to make prayer a priority in our life. We need to find a place that we can pray and express our deepest desires, the yearnings and the groanings of our heart, are thanksgiving. We express these things to God in our prayers. And like the example of Jesus, we need to find the place that's going to be most conducive to that behavior. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and have a blessed day.